Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. My name is Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK. I hope everybody's well. I will wait until I see some eyes in the room. We normally have some early starters, but I haven't seen anybody else yet. So I can see we've got 10 eyes in the room, so to speak. So we'll just wait for the chat to kick in. The lovely Sue will be in the room with you today. There we go. Good morning, Mo. Good morning, Helen. Karin. There you go. Everybody's coming in. Good morning. Good morning. What's the weather like with everybody today? Bank holiday was a bit mixed, wasn't it? Sunshine, rain, but that's what we expect for a bank holiday weekend. It's normally rain and a James Bond film is on at some point over the bank holiday weekend, isn't it? So it's sort of drizzly and grey here in Edenbridge in Kent. What else? Where's our other weather reports coming in? Good morning, Jayne. Good morning, Glynis. There we go. Raining in Plumstead again. What else we got? It's wet with Helen. Good morning, Nahid. Yeah, here we go. It's cold and wet here. Yeah, it's not cold. It's quite mild. It's just damp and grey and drizzly. So yeah, but it is what it is. It doesn't matter. We're in the Groovi room today, and for the next hour or so, and we shall just forget all the weather outside. Just draw the curtains, or don't look out the window. We'll have an enjoyable hour. So I hope everybody had a lovely bank holiday weekend. Mo had a fantastic thunderstorm on Sunday. I think we had some thunder last week, but I can't remember when it was. There we go. Sue says all is okay. So the lovely Sue is in the room with you. If you have any questions, she's there to help. And so the lovely design team ladies as well. Jayne's expecting a delivery from Asda. Okie dokie. Raining near Eastbourne, but it's stopped for the moment. I mean, I don't know what the forecast is for the week, but it normally changes by the time it comes to the end of the day. They say it's going to be sunny tomorrow, get the end of the day. Oh no, it's going to rain. Doesn't matter, does it? So we're just going to chill out for the next hour. So, and carry on with our colouring project that we've been working on using the lovely Jayne Nestorenko's Floral A4 Floral Sampler. So we've been looking at this plate over the past 10 weeks, and mainly we've been concentrating on one particular flower. And what I like about this collection of designs from Jayne, what Jazz has done with it, she's made it into a sampler plate, so it's perfect for, it doesn't matter what level of parching you're at, it's just beautiful artwork in its own right. And it's perfect for practicing various different skill sets, whether you want to practice your white work, your shadow embossing, your colouring, your picot cutting, just trying it out on different coloured parchments as well. I think that's the beauty of having a plate like this, that you've got all the flowers on there, you've got butterflies, it's got Christmas, you've got just these lovely little frames as well. I mean, you could take this border and that border and put best wishes in it, or I love you, or happy birthday. It's all interchangeable. So what we've been looking at over the past 10 weeks, we started off with our shadow embossing, didn't we? So, and we looked at tracing out with a number 1 tool, number 2, number 3, number 4, then using the ball tools, and then, game changer, we got our shader tools back in stock, and we reintroduced the 0.8 as well, and they've proven really, really popular. So the top 2 were done with our ball tools, and the bottom 2 we were using our shader tools. And then what I did was what size I used, how many layers I used, by doing a little tally. So this will be my sort of reference guide that I can refer back to again and again. Okay, so that is where we started with this collection, and it was all taken from a piece of artwork from the lovely Karen Jackson. Let me bring it in on this camera here. Really, where we're going? Hang on, there we go. See, beautiful little pieces of artwork, and that gave me the inspiration to share with you. So that's where we started off with, and then we started to look at colouring, because many of us are fairly new to the colouring. So this was my practice piece, or my template, so to speak. So I used the metallic gel pens to colour in on there. Let me zoom in a little bit, because I think we've sort of seen the plate now, haven't we? Hang about, do some stretching. Which way am I going? I'm coming in, so I've got to go this way. There we go. Right. Okay. So we use the gel pen. Well, I use the gel pen for that top one that gives it that lovely metallic shimmer. Then on the next one, so this one was coloured on the front and the rest were coloured in on the back. So I use my pergolina pencils with some Dorso oil and the blending pen. Then I use my Pergocolor pens with my mix mat and a dry brush. And then finally, I use the Dorso crayons on the mix mat with the Dorso oil and the blending pen. So this is where I started off, sort of looking at just doing some various different colouring options. And then over the past couple of weeks, we've then been looking at following that. So the first one we started off with, nice and easy, was the pergolina pencils with the Dorso oil. So I changed my colorways on this one. So I went from the lovely purples to the oranges and reds. Then I repeated that process with the Dorso crayons with a Dorso oil undercoat. Sounds like an ingredients list, doesn't it? Blending with the red, and then I dry blended the Pergolina B pencils to intensify that colour. So I think what we're going to do today, apart from put my glasses on, what we're going to do today is we're now going to look at the Pergocolor pens and repeat that process. Okay. So what we're going to need for today's session is we're going to trace out another dahlia, and then we need our Pergocolor pens. Okay. So, and we're going to keep a record of what we're doing, because I think this is a lovely just way of as a reference back, isn't it? So we can keep this in a folder, we can have a look. I mean, often when Barb's preparing for the TV shows, when she's putting the projects together, she'll write on the back the ingredients list that she's used. So if she needs to go back to it or use it in a blog, then she knows exactly what colours she's used. Okay. So I reckon, glasses on, what have comments coming up? So the craft along ingredients, I don't think they've been uploaded just yet. I'm sure they'll be done if by the end of tomorrow, I'd say, if not sooner. And I'm sure Barb will blog about it when she's done that. So I think Barb mentioned it yesterday's blog or the day before's blog, that she was going to be working on the ingredients list. So so I would say watch this space. Okay. Bank holiday weekend just flew, didn't it? We had 3 fantastic days up at the TV. Started on Thursday with the Groovi shows and the final part of It's a Wrap from Linda Williams with the folded heart, and the folded bell. Then on Friday morning, the lovely bijou elements and backdrop stamp sets, the lino cuts, they were really lovely. Great for little pieces of artwork. There was lots of tips and tricks throughout the 2 hours. Then, oh yeah, how can you forget? Excuse me. Then Barb launched the Weekender with that fantastic die set of panels and windows, using them solid, using them decoratively, and our new pocket poppets. The new, I keep getting them mixed up. There's pixies and there's sprites. I think it's festive pixies. See, I can't remember now. It was days ago, wasn't it? So we launched those, and then I was on with 7. Then on Saturday, on Saturday the plan was just to do 8 and 12 o'clock, because that was the 4 hours for the weekender. But somebody pulled out and they asked if we could help, so I was there. So I did 8 o'clock with Martin, 12 o'clock with Charlie, 1 o'clock with Martin, and then finished the day off at 4 o'clock with Martin as well. Yeah, and they were so popular. And we've got the flowers and the whimsy and the Christmas original poppets from Marina Fedotova, now in this fantastic printed format onto card. Real game changer for instant pieces of artwork. Yeah, but it was so enjoyable. I mean, it's a fantastic team up at the studio, but it's also a fantastic team here at Clarity headquarters. There was the printing, the collating, all the organisation getting sort of everything together. So it was a real sort of team effort involved in that. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry. I've got hand cream on. It smells lovely. So yeah, so it's a big team effort, both behind the scenes at Clarity Towers, in front of the scenes at Clarity Towers, and also up at Create and Craft. Fantastic group of people. Teamwork definitely worked those past 3 days, I can tell you. Okay, are we good to go? I think we are. So what we're going to do to start off with, I'm going to stick with my, oh, sorry, blurry. I'm going to turn over, and what we're going to do first is just trace out another of our dahlias. Okay, so I'm going to take my Groovi tabs. Just make sure, it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly lined up, does it? It's just a little sampler, a hints and tip sheet. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Oh, hang on. Try and make it a little bit straight, Paul. Okie dokie. Then I need my tumble dry sheet. Did anyone give that a go last week with the Dorso crayons and then the pencils on top? Oops, hang on. That was my glasses squeaking. Let's put those back on. Then I'm going to take my number 1 tool and just trace out the dahlia. So it's a much quieter week this week for TV, but we've still got lots going on. We've still got our hashtag Made in May, Made in May, going on over in our social media. And we've also got our Made in May 10 event on the website that continues until midnight this evening. So if you haven't already used that, basically it will give you 10% off online or over the phone. You can call Sue and place any orders. And on top of your club discount, if you put Made in May 10 in the section when you check out, you'll receive an additional 10% off. Happy bank holiday. So I know many of you took advantage of that, but I'm not going to name any names because I know other halves are listening. So there's an opportunity. If you felt that you missed out, the bank holiday's open. The bank holiday's over. but we're continuing for another day, just in case anybody was away last week, because it's also half term as well this week. So Sue is there to help you on the end of the phone if you've got any questions or queries, and email, of course. So we're just going to trace out our lovely dahlia so that we can move on to the next colouring instalment. So we've looked at the pencils, we've looked at the Dorso crayons, and now we're going to have a look at our Pergocolour pens. Okay. I think I've got everything done there. Yeah, looks good to me. See, also one of the other advantages of this sampler plate from Jayne is they're little bite-sized pieces of artwork. Yeah, Patricia, the code is made in May 10 and it ends at midnight tonight. So you can definitely use it, and it's not a one-time only use. You can use it several times, and I know that many of you have. But as I said, I'm not going to name any names. Many of our friends at home are probably sort of hiding behind the computer screen now. So yeah. I'm not going to say, I'm so tempted. No, I'm not tempted to mention any names whatsoever. And it's all very much appreciated as well. Right, okay. Where was that? Right, so what I need now are my Pergocolour pens. So I have mine in my Pergamano tool organizer, and I've got everything stored in here. I haven't fully loaded it yet back from the TV. That'll be a job for later in the week. But I've got my pens, and if I'm going to stick with the same colour palette, I'm going to go with the reds, the yellows, the oranges. So there are loads of different yellows. Well, say loads. There's 3 different yellows. I'm going to take those out. Then there's a couple of different reds. And there's a couple of oranges. Okay. So what I'm going to do I'm going to get all those particular colours out, and I'm going to test them first before I go into my work. So 10% off. Just saying. Made in May. Hashtag. I know it's hashtag made in May, but the code is made in May 10. Okay. Lillian said, "You made me buy it, Paul." Yes, you did. Honestly, you did. I'm not saying anything at all. I don't mind getting the blame for that sort of thing, because I know that it'll bring you pleasure and happiness. So that's the main thing, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a look at these various different colours. Okay, so I've got the red number 1, which is number 7. So I've got my red. So this is number 7. Then I've got the next red, like so. And this one is number 26. Then I've got my 2 oranges, like so. And this is number 23. So I'm testing my colours first before I go directly onto my work. This is a nice orange. I'll put it on some coloured paper in a moment. And this one is number 22. Then we've got some yellows. So this is sort of like a golden yellow. So this one is number 3. Then we have the next yellow, like so. And this one is number 2. And then finally, we have the last yellow, which is number 1. Now on the black, it looks quite sort of, well, it looks very different, doesn't it? It's on black. So if I take a piece of card, we can then, we can really see the colours on those, can't we? So if I bring in my artwork here, I reckon I need to go for, where's my pen gone? Excuse me. So I reckon I'm going to go for the number 2 there, and so I could get away, I don't know. No, I reckon the number 7. So number 2 and number 7. What do you reckon? Question from Yvonne. Are these watercolour pens? They are indeed. They are double-ended. They are a watercolour pen, perfect for your parchment craft and also your everyday colouring as well. So I was just reading the instructions on the side. So yeah, so you've got a lovely colour. I mean, obviously that's not a fault in there. So what we're saying, so we've got number 2 and number 7. Yeah. Number 2 and number 1. Okay. So that's another option. Any other requests for colour? Actually, yeah, I think number 2 and number 1 is probably better, isn't it? What do you think? Changing my mind now. I'm going more down the Susan route. Interesting. Okay. Right, so before I go into my piece, what I'm going to do, I know it's sort of, it's part of that sort of, if you're unsure, trace it out. Okay, so another option, we've got number 2 and 23. Then we've got 2 and 1 again. 2 and 1. 2 and 1. Yeah, I think 2 and 1 is becoming the popular option, isn't it? Jayne's saying 1 and 23. Okay. 1 and 23. Sue said 1, 2 with a hint of 7. Okay, 1, 2 and a hint of 7. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going for the 22. That's too light and bright. So I'm going to cross that one out. Nobody's going for the 26. Excuse me. So I'm going to cross that one out. Okay. So I'm going to take another piece of parchment and I'm going to quickly trace out the dahlia again. Okay. See, this is what I tend to do is before I go in, I definitely practice and have a look at where I'm heading, because if I'm going on to my finished piece of artwork, I really don't want to make a mistake, because if I spent the time tracing out and then it comes to the colouring and you go, oh no, I don't like that. And with the pens, once you're committed with the pens, you are committed, so to speak. And I don't, well, maybe, yeah. Okay. So let's trace out. See, it doesn't take long, does it? What do you reckon? 1, 2 and a hint of 7, 23 and 1, 1 and 23. See, so many different colour options. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just sticking to the same colour palette that we've used in the Dorso crayons and also in the pencils. Okay. So is anybody away at the moment and tuning in? Or is everybody at home hiding from the lovely weather? Because I know it's half term. Many people go away for half term. Especially if you've got children and grandchildren. Okay, we're almost there. Easy peasy. I was going to say I could probably do this daily with my eyes closed. I've done it so many times. But it doesn't matter, does it? So the tool is just following the groove. Okay, right. Let's use this as my practice piece. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get my mix mats out of my bag as well. Let's just hold that down. I'm sure I put my mix mats back in my organizer. Yes, there we go. Like so. And I probably want, I've got my blending pen and some nibs, but I probably also want a water brush, a dry water brush. Okay, this one will do. Right, okay. This chair. One of these days, either myself or Bob are going to go flying on this chair. Okay, what is the plate called again? The plate is called Jayne's A4 Floral Sampler. And if you're after the code to search on the website, all you need to do is put in 42252. That's 42. Whoops, hang on. Where's my pen? 42252. Jayne's. Jayne. Can't spell. Jayne's A4 Floral Sampler. And then don't forget, made in May 10 for a 10% discount. Okay, and that runs on anything on the website up until midnight tonight. All right, slurp of coffee. Let's put that to one side. So I think we decided, didn't we, that, I say we, the royal we, decided we were going to go with number 1 and number 2. So, number 1 and number 2. Okay. Just get rid of this message on the screen. Okay, right. So we have choices. We can go direct onto the parchment with our colour, or we can go with onto the mix mat and then use the dry water brush to apply the colour. So let's have a look. Let's go. So number 1 is definitely the brighter of the two colours. So if I put a tickle in the parchment, you know I like to tickle the parchment. Okay, so let's do a couple of petals in the bright yellow. Okay, what I'm also going to have ready, I don't know whether it'll work or not. I've got to do that one as well now, it gives me the balance. So I've tickled the parchment with the number 1, and then I'm going to take the number 2, and I'm just going to put some of the darker orange or yellow at the base. So let's try using the blending pen to draw out that colour. Okay, so this is where I learn as well as everybody at home. Okay, so what I've just learnt is I've got that blend there. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. Just need to stretch. And it's going to look really horrible. Okay. Okay. So what I've just learned from that process is I need to do 1 petal at a time because the colour dries very quickly. So if I take the number 1, tickle the parchment with the number 1, then take the number 2, tickle again, and then take my blending pen and draw it out very quickly. Okay, what that does is it gives me a softer blend of colour, as opposed to this one that hasn't really shifted. Okay, so direct onto the parchment. Then what I'm going to do is do 1 petal at a time. So the base colour is still wet, and then when I put the second one on, using the blending nib helps move it out. Now Jayne's suggesting if I go over the petal again with the number 1, it will blend the colours. Okay, so let's give this a go then. So absolutely spot on, Jayne. Okay, so top tip there from Jayne. Go back over and it blends out the colour. Okay, so just clean off the... That's a very good tip. Am I frozen? Or am I still here? Somebody says I'm frozen. Anybody hear me, see me? Anybody want to let me know if I'm still here? If I'm frozen? Anybody else? Anybody in the room? Or is it just me? I'm still there. I'm still moving. Well, I don't know whether I'm still moving. Okay. Right, okay. Good. It's always a panic. You see one comment and it says you're frozen. So, and I know there's always a time delay of when someone says that and I respond. So Karin, maybe you just need to refresh or reboot, so to speak. Switch it off, switch it back on again. 9 times out of 10 when it comes to IT, that works. Okay, thank you everybody. Right, so that was a top tip from Jayne. Going back over with the lighter colour definitely helps to blend it, reblend it. So that's good to know, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought about doing that. Okay, so that's another option. So you can do the whole of your dahlia and with your light colour, then put your dark tips in and then go back over with your lighter colour. Okay. Now let's have a look if we use our mix mats and a dry water brush to apply the colour. So I'm going to scribble out with the number 1 first. Okay. I'm going to pick up the colour and then apply to my parchment, like so. Okay. Now, hopefully, oops, going to come in a little bit. Hopefully, you can definitely see the difference in colour from going direct onto the parchment or going to the mix mat and picking up the colour and applying it to your parchment that way. Okay, just like so. So if I now take the number 2 colour, scribble that one out, pick up some of the darker colour, and go in. And then a little bit more difficult to see. I don't know whether it's actually doing anything. Should we have a look? Let's put a piece of white paper onto it. It's very, very subtle. Okay, so let's try a little bit. I'm just doing some little dots of colour and then use the water brush to draw out. That's definitely working. It is very subtle though. I mean, it looks like just blobs at the moment. But it's definitely, so I suppose it depends, doesn't it? What depth of colour on the back, it looks terrible. Let's turn it over. There we go. So actually, if I take the white card, I prefer the technique that Jayne was talking about. See, so I've learned something new today as well. So I'm more than happy to go to my finished piece and use Jayne's technique of the direct to parchment and then using the lighter colour to blend over the top. Okay. So don't forget, we're just tickling the parchment when we apply the colour. So what else have I got to tell you this week? What's happening at Clarity Towers? Okay, so obviously today we're in the middle of Groovi Tuesday. Then on Thursday we have Barbara and the Calligraphy Girls Craft Along. That's live at 7 PM on our Facebook and YouTube pages. But don't worry if you can't tune in. If you can't tune in live, you can always go back and watch afterwards. And there'll be an ingredients list on the Clarity website and on Barbara's blog, either later today or tomorrow. So make sure you check those out. Then what else have we got coming up? So that's the Thursday evening craft along. Then on Sunday, back up to TV again. I can't believe on Saturday it is the 1st of June. Where is this time disappearing to? So on Sunday, that means it's the first Sunday of the month. And Barb's on at 3 till 5 for a usual 2-hour session. Something a little bit different. Very, very lovely, but very different. I'm sure you're going to fall in love with it. And maybe Barb will give you a sneaky peek on Thursday in the craft along. I'm sure she will, because I know she's just as excited about it. So Yeah, so that's on Sunday. Goodness me, yes. Right, okay. So let me take the coloured paper and pop that underneath. So we can now see that we've got our lovely, this is the number 1. Okay. So Barbie's on Sunday from 3 till 5 on Create and Craft. Mo finishes work for 2 whole weeks on Saturday. Can't wait. Going to book work surface in my craft room. Excellent. Are you not coming to visit us, Mo? Down at our open days next week. Not next week, the week after. That'd be, yeah. Where's the tickets gone? We've still got spaces available for our fantastic open days. It's coming around really quickly now. There's lots going on. And it's Friday the 7th of June or Saturday the 8th of June. £8 for the day. Many of our friends come for 2 days, make a weekend of it, and still time to get your tickets. And they're going to, it just really is the highlight of the Clarity events calendar. It really is. I know I did think that, Matt. I did think it might have been a little bit too far. I'm sure there'll be lots of blogs and people posting on social media to keep everyone involved that unfortunately can't make it, and we understand that. Careful, Bob's it would be my Bob. But yeah, really looking forward to that. So it's all systems going, getting ready for that. Okay, so let's go back to our colouring. If you check out the events section on our website, it will also give you details of, right, what am I doing now? Right, so now I'm going with the darker colour. And I reckon I'm going to go for the fine tip, just to add a little bit of darkness to the tips. Okay. Yeah, if you go to the events section on the website, it will give you all the details of our open days, our summer retreats, our parchment retreats as well. And those spaces are filling up fast. I think the first 2 days on the summer retreats already sold out. And I think there's a few spaces left on the second 2 days. And that's in Ditton as well, where we have our open days. And then we've got the parchment retreat in October. And that's with the lovely Linda Williams and Barbara leading that. So the summer retreats is 2 fantastic days of Barbara, and there's always lots of different sort of projects covered. There's always a groovy project, a stampy project, some arty projects. It really is a mix of, I suppose another way of looking at it is sort of like a dabble day type thing, where you get to maybe use stuff that you wouldn't normally go for. So yes, and they're always great fun. All of our events are. I mean, I always enjoy them, catching up with friends and seeing what everyone comes up with. And sometimes you often get ideas from seeing what other people do with the various projects. Okay, so I've used the fine tip from the number 2 to add a little bit of detail. So if I turn that over now, we can see it, but it just looks like somebody's just taken a pen and just put some colour on the tip. So let's go back to Jayne's technique, and we're going to use the number 1. And now what we're going to do is blend out that second colour with the first colour. And I'm just the same format as before, where I was using it with the Dorso crayons. I'm just tickling the parchment again, and I'm just starting from the tips and just gently working my way up, and I'm not going all the way, and you'll notice that I'm turning my work as I work, turning my work as I work. So yes, there's always lots to keep you entertained. So we've got the Barbara's blog, which is barbaragrayblog.com. You've got the Clarity Matters blog that always has like a Saturday share. And then on Sunday, there's always a step-by-step tutorial for one of the fantastic design team. So much work goes into those. As I said before, teamwork makes the dream work. It really does. I like this technique. Thank you, Jayne. See, I wouldn't have thought that. So I would have, this is definitely a lot quicker than doing one petal at a time. See, so we're always, I don't know all the ins and outs and the rules and everything else, but I suppose that's one of the great things of social media now, isn't it? Groovi worldwide, Clarity worldwide, and having people trying different things and seeing what they come up with. So, but yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I'm quite chuffed, as they say. Yeah. See, going backwards, the pergoliner, that was my favourite one. And then when I started working with the Dorso crayons, that became my favourite one. And now I think this might be my favourite one. How terrible is that? Well, it's not terrible, is it? Do you have a book for beginners? We don't have a book, but if you go back to the beginning, so to speak, if you go back to episode 1 of Groovi Tuesday, we open up the starter kit and we go through the sort of the essentials and the basics. Yeah, we spend several weeks just on the starter kit. And if you go onto our social media, so you've got Clarity Worldwide and Groovi Worldwide, but more specifically, Groovi Worldwide, then you can ask questions in there. And don't be afraid, it's a safe and friendly place. No question is ever a silly question if you don't know the answer. We all have to ask questions, don't we, to find out an answer. And maybe the question that you're asking, somebody else wants to know the answer to, but is a little bit shy. The design team are in there all the time. Gracie's in there, Sue's in there, Barb's in there. So you'll always get a positive response. And yeah, just don't be afraid to ask. So really, for my tip, rather than, I know I say rather than the book, if you go back to, say, the first episode of Groovi Tuesday, it just really introduces you to the basics and the essentials. So, and then if you come back next week, if you've got any questions, then we'll be here to answer. If you want to just ask in Groovi Tuesday, that's fine. Okay. So I need to make a note of what I've used. So where is my pen? Hang about. Where's my Micron pen gone? Probably the only thing I have put back into, yeah, of course I have put it back into my organizer. Okay, right, there we go. Sue has found the link for you for Groovi Tuesday. Okay, so this one is using the Let's get the pen going. Try a different one. I think the lid was it hadn't clicked. Hadn't clicked. There we go. Right. So we've used Perga colour pens direct to parchment, and so I used number 1 as my base, number 1 as base, and then number 2 as tip colour, and then number 1 to blend. Okay, so now I have my little key and my thing. So if because I know, I mean, those two colours are obvious, the B8 and the B11. So I know, because if I go for this colour palette, I know that they're always the same. But I would have forgotten, for example, on this one, that I then use the Perga liner B11 to intensify the tips. Because that was what, last week, wasn't it? And so come next week, because when you look at the colours of the Perga colour pens, see what I'd have to do, let me zoom out a little bit. Think about, stretch again, and zoom out a little bit. There we go. Right. So if I wasn't sure, if I tried to replicate that, look at all the different colour choices that I would have had to have gone to. So I would have had to have done another key like this. I mean, it's definitely worth making a little key like this of all the colours on your clear parchment, so you can see what it, maybe you can lay it over your companion papers or your designer papers, or just on white card or paper to see what the colour looks like. So that would be a top tip that you could do. Just trace out, you could use the nested squares and do a little key, couldn't you, of all the different colours. And you could do the same with the pencils as well. But I know next week, if I'd come back and said, oh, I can't remember, what colours did I use? I would have to go through that whole process again to find it. And if Jayne wasn't in the room, would I have remembered that I then blended with the number 1 over the top? Probably not, because for me, normally my go-to would be I'd use a dry blending pen. So it's all about just keeping this and playing. Try mixing up your other colours. Take a dark colour, a light colour. I think I would even actually go back in again. Ooh, can't pick up the parchment. Potentially I would go back in again with that number 2 and add a little bit more. But I know that I don't want to get the parchment too saturated. So maybe next week, what we can do to start off with is we can go back in again, because that definitely would have dried out by then. Because when I was putting the number 1 back over the number 2, then I could feel, if you go on too much with the Perga colour pens, what can happen is that the parchment can start to, what's that word I'm looking for? Pilling, is it pilling or piling or pilling? When, even if you do it on card and you go on too much and the fibrous starts to break down and it becomes fibrous, basically. I don't know what I'm saying now, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Somebody will correct me in a minute. I know they will, to say what it is. Come on, I need an answer now. Oh, pilling. Yes, I thought that was right. I wasn't sure whether it was pilling or piling. Yeah, pilling. Thank you, ladies. We're piling into the parchment. We're not piling. We're pilling the parchment. So, so I would definitely say that this is best to rest. There we go. Everyone's telling me now. Thank you. I knew you would, my friends out there. So next week, what we'll do is we'll come back to this, and I definitely want to put another layer on. But I'm so glad that I have this little key, so I know exactly what I did. Happens to your jumpers. It does indeed, and that was, yeah. I couldn't sure whether it was pilling or piling. There we go. So what else we got to tell you? Okay, let's have a look on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit now. Let's zoom out so we can have a look at the 3 different color options. Hang on, which one am I going? Out. Whee! There we go. So this is on some of our lovely companion paper. He says, nearly falling off the chair. Now I'm going to put some white underneath, and you'll see the colour, but you won't see the line art. Well, you sort of can. Okay. But you can see that I've used the same format with the lightness and then the tips of the colours. Okay. But just by changing the colour of your background can help to intensify, or I wouldn't say dilute, tone down maybe. And yeah, so it depends on the look that you're getting for. And if you've got, I saw, apologies, one of our friends in the room said they've got a little colour chart on parchment. So that's really useful because you could see what colour it looks like on your different companion papers as opposed to on white or a cream. And when you look at the combination of the various different companion papers, then that's definitely worth having a little key like that. I don't know why I haven't got one. I suppose never really thought about it until now. So Jackie's just done a screenshot of all the details. You're welcome. Can you put it on black? You can put it on black, but black often tends to be, I know it sounds weird, black can tend to be a little bit harsh in relation to the colour, and it sort of takes the colour away. I'm going to zoom in a little bit now. Oh, hang on. I know I've just zoomed out, but let me just zoom back in again, and we'll have a look at each one in detail. There we go. Okay. So we've got white. Let's do the first one. So this is a pencil on white. This is on companion paper. So you can see there. Then if I take a piece of black card, you can see that it sort of, you still get a hint of colour, but not as much as what you would on a coloured background. Okay. Then we have the Dorso crayons here. So on white, obviously more vibrant. And depending on the colour of your background paper will also change the tone of the colour. I put black underneath. See, the red stands out, but the yellow orangey colour disappears. Then when we look at the Percolour pens, definitely, as always, more vibrant on white, softer tones on your companion paper, and then bring in the black. And on this particular one, it's losing the color. Okay, so let's zoom back out again. Okay, I'm stretching again. Goodness, where has that time gone? Oh, which way am I going? Whee! I'm going to sneeze again. I'll try not to. I apologise if I do. Let me just get this chair going. Okay. So let's have a look. So just some other things coming up. Let me just grab what I've got in front of me. So this Thursday, craft along, 30th of May with Barb, free course meal, clean and tidy, arty and grungy, and a delectable groovy project for pudding. So all the information will be available on Barb's blog either later today or tomorrow, and also on the Moment of Clarity section of the website. We always do a downloadable ingredients list. Okay, I've just seen a question from Sue. Please zoom out with white so I can screenshot. Okay, let me go back to that one. There we go. Hopefully you can do that. I shall hold that there. Hopefully that will be sufficient enough time for a screenshot, but don't forget you can also go back and watch it on rewind, so to speak. Okay. Then following that, obviously apart from TV shows, open days and other events, the next craft along with Barb will be on the 20th of June. And that is using the abstract layout number 4 with the bees and butterflies. And then the following week on the 26th of June, we'll be doing a craft along with me with the Paper Stitch by Clarity collection. And then, as always, we have our lovely events. So we've got our open days, which are just around the corner, literally. The 13th and 14th, I believe, has sold out for the summer retreats. But I know we've definitely got spaces on the 15th and 16th. It's like a handful of spaces for those 2 days. And then finally, the 14th and 15th of October for the annual Parchment Retreat. Okay, so just a few things just for you to put in your diaries if you want to. That hour has flown by and I'm totally chilled and totally relaxed. So thank you once again for joining me. Thank you for Sue as always, and the lovely design team ladies in the room. I will see you again next Tuesday. I'm off to pick and pack some orders. Thank you very much. So stay inside. If the weather's miserable, don't bother going out. Just stay inside and craft. Have a practice with your colours. Just take any image, just a small image, and practice. And Jayne says, as there haven't been yet. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, just have a practice with the colours. Have a look to see do what I've done and create this sort of like index of the colours. I mean, I've sort of spread it out, but you don't have to. You could do it on a smaller area. But I think it's really useful that if you're new to it and you're unsure of your colours, practice on another piece first to see what it looks like. And then when you're happy, transfer it to your little sampler page. And hopefully just by doing that several times, you'll pick up a few little tips and tricks along the way. So enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget Thursday evening, craft along with Barb at 7 p.m. And then Barb's on TV on Sunday, 2 hours, 2nd of June, 3 till 5. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.